Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Tish University Video Podcast, where life is our classroom, experience is our teacher, and self-actualization is our compass. All right, today we are moving back into our series of A Hurting Child, and we have Miss Kajaria Johnson here on the show today. Thank you for coming. So if you can just go ahead and introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about yourself, what you do, and then we'll jump right in.
Okay. My name is Kajaria Johnson. I work for Breakthrough Urban Ministries as an employment coordinator. So I work with people facing barriers towards employment, people that's affected by homelessness, housing, anything you can think of.
All right. Okay. All right. So moving into our questions, tell us a little bit about your story. Just unpack your life for us. Walk us up the ladder of your life.
Okay. Again, I'm Kajaria, KJ. I grew up on the west side of Chicago in Henry Horner Projects. I have lived on the west side until I was about 15 years old. I grew up at East Garfield Park. I grew up in North Lawndale, so I'm a little bit all over the west side. I moved to Portland, Oregon when I was 15 with my parents and my brothers and sisters, and it was due to actually gang violence in the community. My older sister had a fight with someone in the community, and they set our garage on fire. They threw bricks in our windows, and my dad decided to say, "Let me take my family somewhere safe," and we ended up in Portland, Oregon. In Portland, it was a culture shock because I attended school where in most of my classes I was the only black child in my classroom, so that was a little different for me. When I turned about 19 years old, I came back to visit Chicago, and I decided to move back to Chicago, where I fell in love all over again, my first love, which is my son's dad, who was he was murdered about 5 years ago due to violence in the streets, and he's a drug dealer and stuff like that. My parents, growing up as a child, they were on drugs. Their drug of choice was crack. My dad OD'd when I was about 10 years old, and the reason he stopped using drugs is because I asked him, what am I going to do if I don't have a dad? And he just decided to stop. Let me go back. When I was 20, I had my child, my son. He was born prematurely, actually. So that was some more trauma in my life. He was on 2 pounds and 3 ounces. I hadn't did anything wrong. I wasn't on drugs. I wasn't drinking or anything. Just another situation. By the time I was 30, I was in a bad relationship. I became homeless. I made the choice to go to the police station to take my son and myself and go stay in a shelter. And that was the beginning of a new life, I say. So, yeah.
So, again, I want to equate your strength. I really want you to understand that there's people on this earth who couldn't walk a minute in your shoes. So, I just want you to be proud of your journey and acknowledge your resilience and the strength that you have. So moving forward, seeing that you faced a lot of different trauma throughout your life, what are some of the patterns that you feel like you've adopted due to the trauma that you faced?
Okay. Well, growing up with the mom and dad, my parents were actually married before I was even born. So that was a good thing, I guess, in society. But at the same time, my parents were on drugs, and my mom, she was very submissive because she married my dad when she was 19 and he was like 28. So my mom, she didn't work or anything. She couldn't ask certain questions in the house. It was like, you cook, you clean, you take care of the kids, and I go to work. So my submissiveness to men, I would say, and not asking questions because I'm always thinking I'm wrong or that's not the right question to ask. So those are some patterns that I picked up. Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you can ask them any questions, given that now you're an adult and you've come out on the other side of that, if you can go back to change the narrative of your story, what questions would you ask?
probably will ask my mom, why did she stay? I probably will ask my dad, why did he choose for us to live like this? So, yeah.
So, secretly, I truly, because I dealt with a lot of adversity growing up as well, and I secretly have a real issue with trusting people or letting people close to my heart. Like, I'll let you in the area, but to get to the depths and core of who I am and be someone special, it's a little hard for me, and it's a secret that I hold to myself because I've always wanted to feel like a special person, and I didn't get that. So what are some of the secrets that you feel like you hold due to that trauma?
Just not embracing myself or loving myself or even pulling the strengths out of myself, knowing that I have quite a few, and that's the reason I'm still here. I would say that, and as a child, I guess being fondled, I wouldn't call it necessarily molested because it didn't go that far, but I kind of knew, like, no, this is not right. So those are, you're the first person I've told that. But those are some things, and I think that has made me choose the man that I have dated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of one thing that I hear you alluding to is that it became a cycle. Like you grew up feeling a bit unwanted. You can tell me if I'm wrong. Feeling unwanted, so you began to like men who kind of put you in that same submissive space.
Yes.
How do you feel like you can break that pattern?
Just knowing who you are, knowing how to. Sometimes you have to make a list of the pros and the cons. Like, this is what I like about myself. This is what other people say they don't like about me, and then meet in the middle kind of thing.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
And so it's just getting to know yourself, not kind of what everybody else is saying, but you take time to yourself, by yourself, and just get to know yourself.
Okay, I love it. Can you walk us a little bit through that journey of how you've gotten there? Because I think we talk, if you pay attention to the story, and when people tell their life story, we go from, I was a child, I went through a lot,
Yes.
look at me now.
Yes.
There were stairs and ladders that you climbed to get to those pivotal points.
Yes.
And when you were in that moment, you didn't feel as if you were going to get to the top of that staircase. So I really want you to shed light on how you climb the stairs so the people going through what you've been through can kind of utilize your strength and your way in which you did it to kind of formulate their own.
I think it's probably people that I met through over the years that took interest to me. From teachers to an ex-boyfriend who passed away, mom. She just took me under her wings because she said I was a daughter she never had. And she started telling me that, Kajaria, you have a voice, you need to say something. She said, Kajaria, you're beautiful, you need to love yourself. Just things. Sometimes you meet people that love you more than you love yourself. So then you try to figure out, why does that person love me so much? So then that's when you start asking. You have to ask those questions. And it's those questions like, what's good about me? Why do I love myself? What's my purpose? You have to ask yourself these questions. So,
yeah, no. That definitely asks. That definitely answers the question. Do you feel like any of the hurt that you felt led to any of your success or even failures?
Yes, my success through my career. Because I had a hardworking dad, and I was a daddy's girl, regardless if my mom was submissive, where she never worked. My dad treated me like I was his little boy. So, I went to work with him all the time. So, even though my dad had other women, he's still married to my mom this day, but he always taught me about hard work, regardless. So I did see the strength in that, just knowing how to do hard work. Just making sure that, because my dad couldn't read, but he became a drug counselor. He was a welder. He was a construction worker. This man did not know how to read. And what I learned from my mom is don't just lay back and be depressed, because then she kind of let her whole life pass her by. So that helped me be strong too, because my mom don't know how to drive. So I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to drive, I'm gonna learn how to do this, I'm gonna learn how to do that. I'll share the question, because I had something,
How do you feel like it accounted to your success as well as your failure?
Okay, my failure is with men, with my parents. Because even though I think I haven't been in a depressed stage, I have. Because at any time you can overeat or just sit down all day and not even do anything towards your purpose, to me that's a failure. Because you can't get time back. So to me it's a waste of time. Me being submissive to men, me being in a controlling relationship for 7 years and letting someone break me all the way down, that has, I think, watching my parents, that plays a big role in that when it comes to men.
What do you want children going through what you've been through? What do you want them to learn from listening to this podcast?
Well, learn to ask questions. Try to figure you out. See what you love about yourself. Ask other people. Sometimes when you ask other people for point of view of you, ask, what do you think of me? And see if it's aligning with what you think of yourself. And if it's not, then step back, ask some other questions. Yeah.
So I wanna build upon it, right? Because I feel like two things. One, we throw self-love around just freely.
Yes.
Love yourself, love for everybody.
Yes.
But the reality is a hard thing to do. And nobody has defined it, but everybody wants us to do it. And also, giving a child, many children are seen, not heard. Many kids are hurting, but no place to put the pain. Many kids are creative internally and don't have an external place to put that creativity.
Yes.
How do you suggest a child begin that loving themselves process?
Well, I would say you see what your child loves to do, and then you just you try to basically buy in to whatever they love to do. Like when I was younger, I wanted to skate, and I told my parents, if you guys would have invested in me, I would have been a ballerina, I was a skater. You know. But like my son, he's very creative. He writes poetry, he's an MC, he makes beats, he does all of this. So I try to make sure that I add something to each thing, just to let him know that if this is what you want to do, let's try to figure it out. Even if a lot of kids choose things and they don't stick to it, but then if you invest in that child and what they want to do, you never know where it might take them. And that helps them love themselves when they see, oh, I can do this. I grew, I learned something new. That helps them even love themselves even more.
So empowering them.
Empowering the child, yes.
I love it. Okay. What would you want parents to get? Because the target demographic for this podcast is I want parents to see this and begin to question themselves and the things that they do as it relates to how it affects their children. What advice, especially seeing that you are a mother, what do you want parents to get from you in this podcast?
If you're going to tell your child not to do something, make sure you're not doing it either. Allow your children to ask questions, because in school they tell them no answer is no question is a dumb question. But a lot of times nowadays in school they don't let you ask questions. So why not let them feel safe at home? Like, oh, this is my free space. I'm free to be me. So allow your child to be them. But you still have to raise them accordingly to who they are and what their purpose is. So just allow the child to be them, be free in who they are.
I also, because I spoke with you about this once before,
Yes.
and I remember you saying something along the lines of making sure that we don't raise our children based on the way we were raised.
Yes.
But really evaluating that. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I thought that was great information.
Yeah. So when I talk about raising your child accordingly, we have to remember that you have to think that to yourself, did it work the way my mom raised me, because she was raised the same way? Because I know it didn't work for me. So even though we are the same, everybody has a different purpose. So whatever your child is into or whatever they love to do, raise them according to that, because then it basically sets up a journey for them. Even though they might not know it, you might not know it, but it just invest in them and it'll just take them along the way.
All right. So, Ms. KJ, I want to sincerely thank you. I also want to let you know that I admire from afar because you have a strength that I don't think even you have acknowledged. So I just wanted to say that. But just as a final hurrah, I personally believe that we are hurting children walking around posing as adults. In 60 seconds, and you can talk to the people. Can you just, whatever's on your heart to that hurting adult who's carrying that childhood trauma, what do you have that you would want them to take from your strength?
Love yourself. Ask yourself questions first before you ask other people. Understand the whys in your life, so then you're able to just put it on the table and say, oh, I understand this, so now I know what decision to make now. So just love yourself, but know how to love yourself and understand how to love yourself.
All right. I think that's phenomenal. Thank you so much for coming out. We sincerely thank you for all your great feedback and just being open with us. So guys, that is the end of our interview for today. We thank you all for tuning in. Again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.